The rich divide us by racism and other means. The rich elite are made up of wealthy families that got that way during the slavery era in the USA and passed the money down to each generation. After slavery was ended, they got into different businesses like oil, railroad, banking, etc. Some corporations grew so large that they had to be broken up by Teddy Roosevelt. In order to hide what the rich elite are doing, they have distractions for us, as in sports, movies, TV shows, songs, celebrities acting badly, and owning the news media to keep the distractions going. One by one, the rich elite use lobbyists to pay politicians money to vote on laws in their favor that take away our rights and freedoms. When 9/11 happened, it was a big opportunity for them to use terrorism or the possibility of terrorism in the USA as a distraction. But their buying out of corporations and downsizing people to cut costs has done more economic harm than 9/11 itself. If you read contracts, most are unconstitutional and are basically slavery that pays a small amount of money for labor. If you so much as violate any part of the contract, they can terminate it and fire you. It will have silly things like posting on Facebook about your job or co-workers to fire you and violate your freedom of speech. In the USA, we no longer have a freedom of speech. We have allowed speech instead, and speech that is banned or prohibited, and if you use it, your career will be ruined. If you want to know how controls you, see who you cannot criticize. The rich elite use racism to separate people so we fight each other instead of notice what the rich are doing to us. It is really class warfare, and the rich elite prefer white people when hiring for jobs and discriminate against females and minorities. They cover it up by promoting females and minorities to supervisor or management positions so that it hides the fact that they don't hire enough of them. They'll be behind social justice movements, but don't hire diversely. You will find Hollywood is like that, and when they give out awards, it is to mostly white people. They do this to fan the flames of racism and get people of different races fighting each other instead of the rich elite. The rich elite fund police stations and have them do racial profiling. They have politicians pass laws that protect the police from indictment for killing someone if they fear for their lives. Often it is a minority that they kill, and it goes on news media that the rich elite also control that covers the death of the minority. The rich elite then donate money to protesters to protest in that city and blame the white people that live there. Sometimes riots and looting breaks out, as in Ferguson and Baltimore. The rich elite then buy out failed businesses that got attacked by riots and looting. Many people read books or watch TV shows or movies on how characters rise up against a corrupt government. Like Hunger Games, Star Wars, The Matrix, The Lord of the Rings, and so on. But in real life refuse to say anything against our corrupt government controlled by the rich elite via lobbyists. As long as they got a job that pays for their life, won't say a word against the rich elite or the government. But people who are different in some way, by race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, color of skin, and so on, are often used as scapegoats to divide us and distract us from what the rich elite are doing. Right now in St. Louis, Missouri, the Rams are leaving for LA, and the stadium that was built for them still needs $6 million in payments to finish paying off. Sports teams and their owners use the shell game of having a city build them a stadium, and then they leave as soon as they get a better offer from another city to move there. Money the city uses to build stadium is taken away from the budget to fix and repair the infrastructure of the city and the state it is in. It is taken away from schools and education, so teachers aren't paid enough and the students suffer a worse education as a result. When students don't reach their potential, they often grow up poor and in dead-end jobs. Some of them even turn to crime to make ends meet by joining a gang. The rich elite are worshipped even if they are evil and mean people. For some reason, the more money someone earns, the more the public loves them. If a person is poor or homeless, they are hated by the public because people are judged by material things in society. Racism is stupid. No one race is better than the rest. We all have our positives and negatives in our DNA, and there is no master race, there is only the human race. The rich elite divide us by race and other things in order to distract us from what they are really doing. We are all equal by the civil rights laws and nobody should be discriminated against. That is the way that freedom and rights work, everyone has to be equal under the law. The rich elite live by a different set of rules than us and can violate the law and hide behind lawyers. They hate the poor and middle class and do things to make sure that they don't succeed. Like making them work in a high-stress toxic environment so they will burn out and get sick and go on disability to be replaced with younger workers. They work them 80+ hours a week with no extra pay, and if people don't work that long they are usually fired. This cuts into social life and family life, and people go on being single or divorced because it ruins their relationships to work so long and hard. The social justice warrior movement goes by privileged and marginalized classes of people. The only privileged class are the rich elite, everyone else is marginalized by the rich elite. Yet the blame is put on white straight males as a scapegoat, so people don't blame the rich elite instead, that decide who gets hired and who gets paid what money. The rich elite use the social justice warriors as puppets to divide us more so we don't notice what the rich elite are doing. Programming jobs and startups exist to automate jobs into apps, websites, robots, AI programs, and so on, to eliminate jobs and put more people out of work. Most startups fail because they lack a business plan, or don't have good marketing, or nobody knows who they are. In order to make another Facebook or Google or Amazon, you have to be in good with the rich elite to get their investments and lawyers to take your company public, and then you lose part of your company via stock to the rich elite who can tell you what your company should and should not do. Most startups fail because they run out of investment money and the rich elite get their IP rights for whatever they develop to use it elsewhere. Ever since the Millennial Digital Copyright Act, fair use has all but been removed. Corporations and the rich elite and their lawyers have gone after people they consider to have violated their copyrights. If a mother posts a YouTube video of her baby dancing to some music from the Super Bowl on TV, it will be taken down by the copyright holders. Copyright law is used by the rich elite to censor people and even take down stuff that competes with them, even if it does not violate copyright law. The rich elite try and control what we say, what we do, how we live, what we learn. They have edited history so we don't know what the rich elite have done to the Native Americans in killing off 80 million of them to get access to their lands. Then selling the land to people to build houses on. The same thing was done to Mexico to get their land. Yet our history books don't report that. The rich elite are the real racists and enemy of the poor and middle class, and they use all of this as a weapon against the rest of us. To distract us, to divide us, to even force us into suicide or die due to illnesses caused by stress.